どうしてって。ユキと喋りたいからに決まってんじゃん。
私が𝐜𝐡𝐚さんにとってどんな存在でも
自
由に降る雪でいさせてほしい。大きな空はあなた。𝐜𝐴さんならどこまでなんて。
A Sign of Affection episode number 5. And wow. Like, we're moving and we're grooving here. And, you know, one of the things that really draws me to this anime is how effective the writing is. You know what I mean? Like, I find myself as I'm watching this kind of like getting caught up into the emotions that these two characters are feeling. And on one side, you have Yuki, who is feeling like all these feelings for the first time, and like they're bursting out of her. And you know, this episode, she got to feel like affection and warmth and jealousy, and it's really, really cool to see. And I love how at the end of the episode we kind of finally set it. We set the past straight this episode, and we finally see, like, you know, her really setting it straight of like, why are you learning sign language? And I think this is a question that's been burning at her for quite some time. And he finally says, like, I'm learning to talk to you. Like, so he's learning for her. And I think that's just such a cool thing to see. Before I forget about it, you know, this is not related to that comment, but another really sad moment was, you know, she was talking about, you know, they were talking back and forth, and he was like, oh, well, does your family speak sign language? You know, does your family sign? And she's like, no, you know, they gesture and they mouth and they lip, you know, and, you know, stuff like that. That's how they communicate. And I was like, wow, like how sad that is, you know what I mean? And that moment really beat me up a little bit, because, you know, as a parent, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that's kind of where I can kind of give you like some insight into. It's like, as a parent, the lengths at which you're willing to go for your kid, like it's boundless. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's boundless. And I can only imagine, you know what I mean? Obviously, it's very difficult to learn any language, you know what I mean? And some are way more difficult than others, just being 100% honest, you know? But in listening to that, I was like, wow, that's really sad, because, like, you know, if my kid was, you know, unable to hear, you know, if my child was deaf, and, you know, my one way to speak and communicate to my kid was to sign, like I would take, you know, sign classes, you know, every day. Like I would take, you know, or every day I could, you know, or I would sign up for, you know, physical classes or online classes, or, you know, whatever it would take. Like I would learn alongside my kid, you know what I mean? Like, cause that's just expecting. If I had another kid, like I would also put them through like that same, you know, things to be able to speak to, you know, your sister or your brother or whomever, right? It's like I would go that extra length. And, you know, that moment, and I know I'm harping on it for a while, but that moment was just really sad to me. And, you know, one of the things I always say about anime is like when a show, and this is any media, you know, it could be a video game, an anime, a TV show, a movie, whatever. But when they do a really good job of invoking emotions in you, and I always say whether it's anger or saddened or excitement or funny or whatever that emotion is, when it can really evoke that in you as a viewer, I just really feel like it's really going above and beyond. And sometimes it's hatred for a character, sometimes empathy and sympathy, whatever it is. Like, you know, I just really feel that. And that's what I really felt in these moments, because I was like, wow, that's just so sad, you know? And it's like, again, putting myself in that, you know, in just that parent shoe, it's like I would go above and beyond, because that's, you know, at that moment, you have to. And our family would sign, you know what I mean? Like that would just be like, you would just have to, because you're doing it for your kid. And you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, this kid, you're only going to have this kid once. You know what I mean? Like, you're only going to be around once. So you got to do it right. You know, but that's when I'm going to pivot back to her relationship now with 𝐒𝐴tsumi. It's like he's willing, you know, he's excited and willing, and, you know, he feels these emotions too, that, you know, you could tell that he's, you know, he has this other girl in Emma, whatever, who he's been friends with for a while, and he obviously knows that she likes her, and his friends have told him, but he's feeling all of these different emotions too for the first time. And he's willing to go above and beyond because he wants to be able to talk to Yuki. And, you know, he's doing these different signs, you know, he's learning, you know, some different signs, and, you know, he's willing to write down on paper. He's willing to, you know, talk a little bit slower and enunciate a little bit more so that it could be seen. And he's willing to, you know, text back and forth. Like, he's feeling feelings that he's never felt before. So his willingness to go outside of the norm is exponential. And for Yuki, she feels all of that. And the way she describes it as like the, you know, like this wave, like they're on the same wavelength, and she can feel a sense of warmth. And she's just feeling feelings that have never been, like, she's never felt before, because they've never been given to her in the ways that he's doing it. And it's just, wow. Like, I'm like, you know, again, it's a sign of affection. That's the name of the show. And it's like, it's living up to every facet of it is just like oozing out that affection. And the writing is because of that. The script, the writing, like the way that the voice actor, you know, in 𝐒𝐴tsumi and is conveying that. And, you know, the characters around Yuki, like Rin, are telling her, like, you know, there's an affection, there's a tonality that he just simply doesn't take with anybody. He's taking with you. And like, it's awesome. And then he got dressed up at the end of the episode. He came over to set things straight with her because he was so concerned about the way that she left, and he wants to make sure that there's no confusion, even though that there could be confusion there. And it's especially harder when you know, obviously when you can't hear. Like, there's a certain part of that communication that just, if you have these, you know, 5 elements of communication, she's missing one of them, and he's like, he needs to make sure that he does more than enough to fill that gap in, to make sure that he, you know, there's no confusion there. It's like, she's number one, you know. And eventually, I feel like as we go into next episode, I feel like we're getting ever closer to maybe they start a relationship, you know, because even Rin, when she was talking to his friend, she was like, you know, he was talking to her of like, he feels possessive towards her and stuff, you know, like that's like the first sign, you know, feeling possessive, feeling like you own someone, you know, even though it sounds like, it doesn't sound good, but that's kind of how you feel towards your person, is like, you know, you're mine, I'm yours. That's how it should feel. Like, that's how it should be. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a bond that's indescribable. So you can only really describe it as like, you know, we own each other kind of thing. So anyways, I've rambled on, but episode 5 was just, it was really, really good. And it was intense and emotional. And, you know, you can feel it welling up inside you as you're watching. That's awesome. So very unique show. Really enjoyed it. Really loved episode 5. So let me know what you thought in the comments down below. I know I rambled on about a lot of different things. I didn't really dive deep into every little thing that happened in this episode, like I tend to do more often. But I just wanted to talk holistically about the show, and it's just so good. So anyways, let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. And I look forward to reading them, and I'll see you guys next week for episode 6. Peace, homies.